And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head the deck. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me your
He makes me call him Jalen versus everybody.
What up, dog?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in, he makes me call him Jacoby.
It's my name.
It's your last name.
I say I'm David
Center
Jacoby.
stage on the mic.
And we putting it on wax.
Reggie. Sometimes I think he does it on purpose.
Thank you.
I think
New style.
Thank you. This is the best intro ever. And I'm glad the people that support this fine program see why I stay in check. You see how they bully me? Start the show. Jacoby complains about calling me what I want to be called. Mm-hmm. Reggie doesn't get the intro right. And the thing I love about this, I didn't prepare for the show at all. So that's why I don't.
What do we do?
Give the people what they want.
We always record exclusive content for our podcast listeners. We love our podcast listeners. We'll be getting into the ridiculous LeBron James Warriors stuff later. We'll be getting into CJ McCollum.
Can I just throw something out there real quick?
What's that?
Philadelphia Eagles going to win the Super Bowl.
What?
No, they're not.
They have a player from Detroit representing in Brandon Graham, throwing up the ice wood, getting sacks. They also have a gentleman playing defense named Jalen.
Shout out.
I just saw this happen.
I think they have two Jalen's on defense.
No doubt about it. That's my choice. I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay.
Please continue to find program.
And we're going to talk about players and refs, and we got some special interactive segment, but this is one that didn't make the rundown because I kind of thought it was a little corny, and I want to get with you on this. Blake Griffin is claiming that he found out about the trade via Twitter. While I don't question whether or not that's a legitimate claim, maybe he did find out via Twitter, but my gut tells me that's something that he knew a little bit more than he's letting on. What do you think? Could you get traded just blindsided like that? Like he didn't know at all?
You can't be blindsided by a trade. And
your agent doesn't know?
I'm going to talk about something that has not been discussed for public consumption, and it disgusts me.
Ooh.
I truly appreciate that the league has done all it can do with reshuffling the deck, scheduling-wise, to try to make sure players maintain the level of health. It's just unfortunate that a handful of players, in particular all-star level players, have gotten injured.
Yep.
So that's that part. What disgusts me is when I'm watching basketball in League Pass, because I actually watch teams that most of the world doesn't care about and can name 10 through 15 on almost 95% of the rosters, and it just so happened to be my job. When they're
one quick thing, I think you can name 10 through 15 on most rosters because you're looking at them like, whose spot can I take? Continue.
When I'm watching League Pass and players are now being sat out so that they don't possibly get injured because they may be traded? Is that where we are right now?
That's with Mirotic is basically what you're saying. And Joakim Noah and Mirotic are basically not playing. They've been benched essentially because they're looking to trade them and they don't want them to get injured, losing their trade value.
And Tyreek Evans.
Oh, good point. Yep.
And Greg Monroe being released the way he was. Yep. And me knowing the backgrounds of the ties between the management in Phoenix versus the management of where he wink may end up.
Where may he wink end up?
Boston.
Mm-hmm. That's the rumor. So what are the ties?
I'm going to allow people to draw the parallels of how that relationship works. Again, you get a chance to hear this in the trunk. The speakers are loud. It's gorillas back
we
there.
We can't put this on TV because then someone will email us and be like, you have to show me your sources. How do you know that he's going to end up in Boston? When you put on the podcast, executives don't listen to the podcast.
When you guys get a chance to hang out with me holding the bat wearing Cazelles, it's not like NBA Countdown where I get emails based on 35% of the things I say. Mm-hmm. And so this is where I can cook, and I don't like that. Let me just say that first and foremost. We're gonna get in front of that. Number one.
Okay.
Please continue. You got something else you want to do? Say. I was gonna go a different place also.
I was gonna talk about Blake Griffin, but you know what? Go for it, Jalen.
And the B side of what I'm saying is, as we approach All-Star break, when there are players that are being shut down for the rest of the year. And there are going to be players that are bought out to join contending teams. These are all things, in my opinion, that influence the balance of power, that as the game continues to be nurtured by our new commissioner, Adam Silver, can't come in and change everything overnight. Almost like David Jacoby saying, the team that plays baseball in Cleveland will eventually change their name. The team in Washington will eventually change their name that plays football in the NFL. These are things that I am putting out there on the table that I know, whether it's when LeBron is an MVP level player or when his son is in the league and they're both playing together, like my esteemed colleague said. These are things that are going to take place in the league that aren't being discussed, that are major, as it influences the balance of power and or who makes the playoffs and or ultimately wins the championship.
The buyout thing is interesting because if you are the said player, you get 100% or 90% of your money for that year, and then you're happy to sign a league minimum somewhere. Yeah. You know, it's like it's a loophole. We saw it with the Cavs when they got Bogut and Williams. Bogut was a big injury that year, but we don't have to talk about that. But you think, what kind of rule could they put in place to dissuade people from that happening?
Dr. Dre, and he doesn't get enough credit for this album. And there's a song, Been There, Done That. I've been that player.
I just asked you a question.
I was going to answer the question. This is the podcast. I can give clarity to the answer and give...
I asked a question, you go, Dr. Dre.
Correct.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
The reason why I try to distinguish myself instead of like other media personalities, you guys are listening to the same artist producing the same album. But guess what you're not going to hear on every song? The same lyrics and the same hook. We're going to switch up. We're going to switch up the beat. We ain't going to have 15 songs and 10 of them have the same beat. Nope. So when I answer your question, what I'm saying is I've been that player playing with the New York Knicks, and they signed Jared Dudley in the offseason. Jared Jeffries in the offseason. No shots. Went to Indiana. I got love for him. But when we're in the practice and he can't make a free throw and I'm in the final years of my career, I ain't trying to be running 35,000 sprints. I only have so many miles, Zeke. You know what I'm saying? Steph Marbury, that's my brother. Got him on the text, no shots. I'm just saying, when he shows up and he got the tat on his head that year, I'm like, we clearly ain't going to the playoffs. So, you know, Zeke, Isaiah Thomas, who was in power at the time, you were my childhood idol. You coached me in Indy. You're now my president in New York City. Give me a chance to get a chip. Buy me out. Please go to your owner and ask him, can they give me a check for X amount of money so I can go somewhere else and play basketball?
How'd that work out?
I went to Phoenix. I actually played on a playoff team, a really good team, a high 60 win team. I had a lot of fun living in Phoenix.
So you think that should not be allowed?
The way it takes place, it should not be allowed. And who I saw take advantage of it, initially for like new era consumption, I like to give credit where it's due, was actually the Boston Celtics. And it was, they added P.J. Brown. Yep. They added Sam Cassell. Yep. They added players late in the season, and I'm on another squad, or I'm watching. I don't even remember if I was in the league or not. I'm like,
I think you were at that time.
I'm like, wait a minute. They just stacked the deck to try to win the championship. And they didn't lose any players, really. So these are the storylines and the topics that are going to play out as the year ends when you see, man, the Boston Celtics, they're a number one seed, but they lost Gordon Hayward. They have some flaws. Is this their chance to really go for it? The Toronto Raptors, is this their chance to finally come out of the East? The Washington Wizards, John Wall is hurt. How are we going to replace him? The Milwaukee Bucks have played a lot better since they fired Jason Kidd. The Detroit Pistons traded for Blake Griffin. Like, you're seeing teams now shuffling the deck in the East more so. Why? Because it's considered more wide open than the West.
There's more opportunity in the East than there is in the West.
Correct. Yeah. And so these are the things that you get from a boutique program like this.
I look forward to them changing that. I don't know how, you know what I mean? Because it's open labor. You know, so if you get bought out, you don't have a job, you can work somewhere, right?
Here's how you do it, though.
Explain, Mr. Rose.
This is what makes it influence the balance of power. This must happen before the trade deadline, not after.
Okay, so after the trade deadline, that's your roster. Yep. Your roster's fixed after the trade deadline.
Here's what I mean by influence the balance of power. I'm making moves trying to get my squad in order, trying to jockey for position between now and trade deadline. I'm now have a roster that's basically set.
And there's a reason there's a trade deadline. Do you know what the reason is? So you can't just dump the bad teams, can't just dump all their players in the good teams, but it ends up happening. They get around that via the buyout and then acquire.
Yep.
My original question was about Blake Griffin finding out on Twitter. Do you think he really found out on Twitter? You've been traded. How does it work? How do you find out? Who calls? The team, the agent?
A few ways. Usually, if not the team, your agent. But it all depends on your status on the team. And to be honest, you don't just trade players nowadays, you trade salaries. And if you got a big number, that means a lot of people got to move. Therefore, you're starting to hear the dominoes.
Preach.
Because a handful of agents represent 90% of the league. And we're going to talk about Blake Griffin getting traded, but you go outside right now, or you look to the person next to you at work, or the basketball fan that you know that's really passionate about the league. You ask them, who else got traded with Blake?
Willie Reed. And who's the other person? I'll tell you. No, don't even tell me. Don't even tell me.
My point exactly.
Don't even tell me. I do know.
I'm not telling you.
I do know. I'm just drawing a blank. Willie Reed, Blake Griffin.
Please don't tell them.
Don't tell me. I do know this. It's just too early in the morning.
This is my point exactly.
No. I do know it. They just did the press conference. Willie Reed was wearing
Please don't tell them.
Willie Reed was wearing a short sleeve shirt in Detroit. I was concerned about that.
Middle of winter. I hate when I'm watching TV. And I know somebody's in the Midwest or the East Coast and they dress like it's 90 outside.
I'm just drawing a blank. Willie Reed, Blake Griffin.
Please don't tell them.
And whoever it is. Just say. I mean, it's a brain fart.
My point exactly.
Who is it? Just tell me now.
No, I'm not going to tell you.
Come on, it's bothering me now, Jalen.
I know it is.
You're being mean now.
No, now you're being mean. That's the point. While I continue, it'll eventually come to you, or Reggie Harlan going to tell you.
No, they're not going to tell me. You told them.
So,
I can't think about anything else now.
This is my primary focus on bringing this
Bryce
topic
Johnson.
up.
That's my guy, Bryce Johnson.
Out of Carolina. Correct.
Yeah, I love Bryce Johnson. Yep.
That's why I didn't tell you. Because he was one of the guys. I seen you go to Clipper games.
Yep,
I seen you look in the box score and you was like, he can play.
Because he didn't play. I loved him in North Carolina. He didn't play for a whole year. And I was like, everyone forgot about Bryce Johnson, but he's going to be good.
You said that on this fine program, and that's why I didn't tell you. And that's my point exactly. And that was one of your guys, and you didn't even know.
Can we talk about Willie Reed's shirt? I want to talk more about that.
Let's do it.
How are you going to get announced in Detroit and wear a short sleeve button up?
I've been there, done that.
A short sleeve button up though?
The day after the draft, I did not have a budget, contrary to popular opinion. I was like, I got drafted by the Nuggets. I'm pretty sure you can Google this picture. You want to hear something so country Bama? I was like, I got drafted by the Nuggets, so therefore I'm going to wear my favorite check shirt. That's a collared shirt, short sleeve. And when you see my introduction picture, I felt like it was close enough to what I felt the Rocky Mountains represented. It's brown and black with squares on it, buttoned up to the neck. And I put my Nuggets jersey on top of it at the press conference.
Oh, no.
What? So this was 1994. I get your point. You can now get on a guy that makes six figures to play basketball, that knows he's going into a new city. You probably want to dress appropriate to the condition.
Yeah, man. And don't sell me on, he's from LA, so he only has shorts. No. It gets cold at night. I know. Come on. In a closet, you got something with sleeves on it, Willie.
Yep.
Come on, Willie. I do like Willie Reed and Bryce Johnson, though.
Shout out.
Everyone's talking about Blake Griffin. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people in that trade.
My point exactly.
So they've been coming in and out of the studio while we've been recording this podcast exclusive before we get the television show done. And there's tech people in here and they're white balancing cameras. Is there a part of you that's concerned that we're not going to be able to tape the show today?
No, because I'm uniquely positioned, and you know this today, sandwiched in between countdowns that, I don't have anything else to do.
I know.
These have become built-in rest professional in LA spa errands, take care of my BI as I'm not a mogul, but I got a couple of things that I'm doing.
You got some things, but
you know what I mean?
I don't know how you spend so much time at the post office, the package store. I don't know what you're doing there.
I'm going to teach you. That becomes a different level of staff. I have a business manager that takes care of all of my recurring items.
Okay.
I can wake up and 95% of my life between my business manager and my assistant is already running like a well-oiled machine. I just have to call 2 people to make sure that I'm helping it turn on a daily basis.
Shout out.
Now, the other 5% of what needs to happen, just as an adult, just think about it like this. Who in life besides Joey would consider opening your mail?
Nobody.
Correct. That's a personal thing to everybody.
My wife will open my mail, though, all the time.
Yeah, she should, because she's the CEO of finance at your home.
She's the CFO.
Okay. So, for my scenario, the great people, when I go to FedEx office or UPS store, guess what they do? Faxes, FedExes, scan, print, ship, stamps. Like I sent 6 envelopes and 5 FedExes yesterday. It takes time to actually fill those forms out. Sure. These are the type of things that I need to be in a position to do that. And those are the places I go. Could I do this at my hotel? Yes. But something would take an hour and a half that I really only had 35 minutes to an hour to do.
Good.
And I'm paying for that service.
Do you think Detroit's going to make the playoffs?
I do.
So they're 4 behind in the loss column to the Sixers.
You know, I got frustrated watching how and a little irked, to be honest, about how the Blake Griffin trade has been reported, and the national media in particular needs to be ashamed of itself.
Why's that?
Because they really don't truly understand that they're body shaming when they talk about leaving LA and all of a sudden ending up in Detroit. That sounds good for the Hollywood side of the story.
Body shaming?
Absolutely.
Body shaming?
Yes.
Explain.
All I hear is, it's 85 in LA, and poor Blake Griffin getting $170 million to play basketball. He has to go to Detroit, and it's only 20 degrees.
I think you're making a great point, but I don't think it's body shaming. No.
Or Blake Griffin, he was doing so many things in sports and entertainment in Cali.
Exactly.
Now he going to Detroit. It's going to hamper his relationships with the Jenners and all of the things that he was able to accomplish in
because
LA.
He's in Detroit. Like this is 2018. Also, Detroit's a wonderful city. Yep.
And so
they'll love you in Detroit in ways that they will never love you in Los Angeles.
Blake, let me tell you something. I've lived in LA since 94. What's that, 25 years?
No. 24.
And I've lived in Detroit 43 years. You see, I just took 2 years off of my life. Fat move.
Fat move.
The sports culture is way different when you're a Laker fan, you're a Dodgers fan, than when you're a Clippers fan. I just hate to tell you this.
It is.
If you don't know, I'm going to break it to you.
You don't see a lot of Clippers flags on cars around this town.
Now, while there isn't a storied franchise in my hometown that can compete with the popularity of the LA Dodgers or the Purple and Gold, guess what? We got teams that trump the Clippers. Look at the history of what the Pistons have accomplished and what the Clippers have gotten accomplished. Let's do the television show.
Let's do it. Well, if the people wanted ridiculous rumors about the NBA,
there's a rumor being spread about me.
That's exactly what they got.
About something we did or supposed to do.
It's the latest installation of where LeBron James is definitely maybe playing next year. Our colleague Chris Haynes dropped this information that if the Warriors had a max contract spot available, then LeBron James would meet with the Warriors. What? There's so much to untangle here, Jalen. But what are these league sources? What message are these league sources that spoke to Chris Haynes? What message are they giving?
LeBron James is a terrific basketball player, and even better entrepreneur and mogul.
Facts.
The best superstar in the social media era. he has found a way to continue to craft what's considered planting seeds to create a harvest for public consumption with fans and media that has been masterful since he really joined the social media platforms.
He's toying with us for years now on social media.
We think that we're leading the story about what's going to be discussed about the next LeBron rumor. What we don't truly understand is he leads what's going to be discussed about what's going on next in the LeBron James rumor.
Exactly.
And how does he do it? With Twitter fingers. On the gram. And all we do is follow his post like they're drippings, and we continue to foster narratives that usually have no bearing on the other side. And in this case, this is exclamation point number one.
He's not going to the Warriors.
LeBron James cannot, will not, is not going to be a member of the Golden State Warriors.
The Golden State Warriors are not going to set up a trade to get rid of Klay Thompson and or Draymond Green just to sit down and have a 15-minute meeting with LeBron James. Like, it's just not going to happen. I don't see LeBron James going to the Warriors in any way, shape, or form.
And he's so very conscious, clearly, as we all should be for public consumption, myself included,
of course,
about how that would play for his legacy and image. Do you remember what happened when he left his hometown Cleveland Cavaliers to join the Miami Heat led by Pat Riley, to play with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh? You remember what happened?
Of course I do.
Okay. He was vilified for that. And he didn't like being the bad guy.
No.
He tried it at the beginning of the first year.
Yeah, when he was mean LeBron, villain LeBron.
Yeah, he didn't like that too much. Now, they went to the finals 4 times, won 2 championships, and then he went back home and he won another championship. Guess what he's not going to do? Join the team that Kevin Durant joined, the team that had already won the championship before he joined the team that had already won 73 games prior to him arriving, and a 2-time MVP was already on the roster, and Steph Curry.
Also, answer this question. Are the Warriors interested in adding LeBron James?
They are not interested. That would be the most unique phone call of all time. Who's on the phone? LeBron James. He wants to join your team. So let me get this right. We can have 3 players on the team and 12 minimum players and have LeBron. Not going to be able to do it.
Oh, and also we just won a couple championships with this squad. We're good. No thank you. What other championship is there for us to win?
Rakim say, follow the leader.
Here's the thing. He's not going to the Warriors. Why are we talking about this? Let's move on. No. CJ McCollum, who we brought up, scored 28 points in the first quarter of the game.
I see you, little bro.
28 points, and they were beautiful. I loved this game.
A veteran of the Grantland job interview series produced by David Jacoby and the Podfather Incorporated.
Shout out to the Podfather.
Shout out.
And CJ McCollum's name has been brought up as the trade deadline looms.
And you know what happens if you get jammed up.
Don't mention my name. And in trade rumors, a lot of people are saying, well, maybe CJ McCollum and Dame Lillard are redundant. Maybe we should break this up and get some more complementary players. Do you think that the Portland Trailblazers would ever move CJ McCollum?
It's a crazy mixed up world.
It's a doggy-dog world.
And for the Portland Trailblazers, what ends up happening is you ultimately have to trade value. And when your 2 best players, the Mama's boys, who I stood on the table and lauded for Dame Lillard to be in the All-Star game. I talked about our infinity for CJ McCollum before they even started to really flourish the way they are. You would hope to keep those guys together. The problem is, oh, you signed Allen Crabbe. At least you're able to get rid of him. Oh, you signed Evan Turner. He's actually starting. He makes $70 million. Oh, you signed Myers Leonard to how much? And in a salary cap driven sport, when those guys aren't really producing, you now have to look at the value of what you may be able to get for one of your best players, unfortunately. And in this case, it's going to be unique to see how it plays out, because I would keep them together.
I would too.
And so I would be trying to do something up front to keep those 2 gentlemen with Nurkic. But you're going to hear rumblings. Hey, maybe you can send CJ McCollum to Ohio. That's where he's from. What about Kevin Love? He's from the Pacific Northwest.
Now, you've teased this a couple times.
That's a unique swap.
You've teased this a couple times.
2 all-star level players. One got added to the game this year. And then CJ erupts for 50 points in 29 minutes. I see you, little bro. Stay tuned as the trade deadline looms.
One quick question. If you have 50 points at the end of the 3rd quarter, are you going to argue with the coach to put you back in the game?
Absolutely
I'm
not.
definitely arguing with the coach to go back in the game. Definitely. Come on. Get 60.
You be the guy that gets back out there and have an unfortunate injury because you're chasing numbers. Let it live. It's like having a great show. You don't be like, oh, the crowd's still standing? They're giving me an ovation? I need to go back out there.
I would definitely do that too. Jalen, there's been a storyline in the National Basketball Association that's been gaining steam. People have been talking about it for a couple months now, and that is the relationship between players and referees. It's fractured. It's bad. And now the referees are going around to meet with every single team, and they're going to, quote, discuss rules, interpretations, on-court conduct, and the expectation of referees. Jalen, what do you think about this fractured relationship between these two camps of people?
Fake hustle.
Ooh. What's that mean? Explain.
What it means is that both parties are working really hard to be really good at their job. Sure. You have the elite basketball players in the game that are continuing to work on their craft to try to get every edge they can, including a foul call. Have you ever played basketball in someone's backyard or at the park, or ever watched basketball, high school, college, or pro, and the official makes a bad call and the player says, you know what, that was a weak call. I don't even want to shoot the free throws.
Yeah, like that commercial. Like, hey, it was actually off me. It was actually off me.
You know what? I'm just going to shoot these with my offhand because I didn't deserve this call.
It. Yeah. Karma.
Every time the whistle blows, the individuals who are rooting for a team, are coaching a team, or playing for the team, and they get that benefit, they're happy. And the people who don't, they're upset.
And they express their upsetness.
That's a basic thing that transpires in sports. Now, how it relates to this topic in the NBA, someone way more intelligent than me said insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So for the players, here's what has happened. They understand how to toe the line without crossing it. In 2005, the NBA instituted what was considered a Rasheed Wallace rule.
Explain what that is.
That if you got around 15 or 16 technical fouls total, you will now be suspended a game, if not more.
And you get suspended for every 2 techs after that.
And it ended up playing out for the Golden State Warriors via Draymond Green, and in my opinion, cost them a championship.
In your opinion.
Yep.
So now the players understand. Prior to that, there were multiple players getting over 15 techs a year. Multiple. Okay? They weren't necessarily saying, oh, the refs don't talk to me enough.
They're not nice enough to me.
But here's what took place then. You're aggressive. There's a lot of testosterone happening. You can actually bump and be physical with your opponent and give a hard foul if you were frustrated, or actually throw a punch, which I don't encourage. If you got upset at the guy in front of you. Now you can't do that. So who do players take it out on when they get upset?
The referees.
The referee. Because before 2005, guys were getting over 15. Now guys know, how many do I have? Kevin Durant? Oh, I got 10? Guess what?
Slow down.
He's not going to get suspended for a game because he's not going to go over the line.
Not only that, also it's a game check. If you get suspended for a game, that's a full game check. If you're Kevin Durant, that's 6 figures.
Correct. And so what clearly has taken place is the league has done an amazing job of building up teams. For example, when you play in a major market and you have a Porzingis, or you have a Joel Embiid, or you have Kuzma and Ball, these have become marquee names in major markets that are not even on contending teams. But people on those markets are really happy to have those players play for their squads.
Of course.
So the NBA has now flourished and created so many stars that every player think they need to get the benefit of the whistle. So now when the call goes against you, you're really upset if you think the ref is wrong. But now what is taking place is players are screaming and yelling about obvious calls that the official makes.
And that's the part that I know bothers you and bothers me too. And it's like when you see the replay, you see the guy argue with the ref about a foul call, and you see the replay and it's an obvious foul. That happens time and time again. And let's just take a look at some numbers, Chandler, because we don't do a lot of research on this program, but for this topic we did. If you look at the consistency of referees starting in the 2011 season, the fouls per game, pretty consistent. Team techs, actually probably down a little bit. It does vary a lot. Ejections have kind of ballooned in the last couple years.
Look at those numbers. If you say one is going to project this year to 510, that is zero comparison to just 2 years ago. There was 723.
Techs have gone down, it seems like.
And then In 2012, 680. So that makes my point exactly. This is where the league now feels they need to get their officials and the players in the same room and show them what we're showing them right now. It's not that we're behaving different, it's that you're taking it a lot different.
You're reacting different. Yeah, it's actually a very consistent number of fouls that gets called. And then a lot of people say, oh, well, there's new referees. The referee turnover has led to the refereeing not being as good. Not really.
But here's also what happened. Players have gotten more demonstrative.
Yeah, look right here.
And so when you're being really flamboyant about a call that goes against you, you're showing me up. Oh, and now you want to come scream and curse in my face and call me out of my name?
And you're turning the 20,000 people here against me, and now I'm getting yelled at?
And now I'm memes on social media, and my wife, my kids, people that love me get a chance to watch you scream in my face?
You think the referees don't watch the replays and see that they were actually right in the first place, and then see that you turned 20,000 people against me and I'm getting yelled at and I was right?
Sports is the only place where in society we visibly see individuals yelling at someone else that's 40, 50 years older than them.
Mm-hmm. And they don't respond.
You're 21 and you're screaming at me and I'm 55? Is that where we're going?
It doesn't really happen anywhere else. That's a good point. I never really thought of it like that. I never really thought of it like that at all.
Yep. Got to give the people time. Give people what they want.
Jalen, we always say that we give the people what they want.
Got to give them what they need.
Part of giving the people what they want is listening to the people, taking questions from the people. So we have a voicemail line, 985-80-JALEN. You can call in and leave a voicemail, and we'll play it on the show just like this.
Hey, Jalen and Jacoby. This is Erin calling from the Bay Area. We're getting geared up for the Super Bowl. Really excited about it, but I've got an important question for you. Liking Justin Timberlake, is that cultural? Happy birthday to my sweet husband, Sean. Thanks, guys. See you later. Bye.
Big shout to Erin in the Bay. Liking Justin Timberlake, in my opinion, is not cultural. It's universal. He's very likable.
I agree. And music is the great uniter. And there was a time in this country where the term R&B was usually reserved for people that look like me. And he's one of the artists that has carried the baton to where now R&B looks like both of us.
I'm excited to see what he has in store, and I hope Janet Jackson's involved. Moving on, we got this tweet from Tyler. Tyler says, if Brady ties Jordan with 6 chips, which is the bigger accomplishment? Oh, that's from Damon. What do you think?
I love Tom Brady. I'm him with the phone.
Whenever you say something nice, something means coming.
But they cheated.
What? What?
Fam, you can't act like Spygate didn't happen. Do you think it helps?
Where's the tapes? Show me the tapes. I didn't see the tapes.
Eric Mangini let us know.
I didn't see the tapes.
They sent them to the league, and the league destroyed them.
I didn't see the tapes. No
Boom.
Tapes. No proof.
So much
what
so
do you mean?
that they got punished for it. That's your proof. And you don't think it helps your defense when you're videotaping what the other team is going to run without their knowledge?
So you are detracting from Tom Brady's accomplishments because of something the organization did.
I'm detracting because now we're putting him with Michael Jordan. I'm not taking away from the fact that he's the greatest quarterback officially of all time, and Bill Belichick is the greatest coach of all time. But when you talk about this level of excellence, then you got to split hairs. And that's what I'm doing here.
We always give the people what they want. And remember, call 985-80-JALEN.
Do you think it helps me catch it when the ball is deflated?
He did not
or
deflate
does
the balls.
It cause more fumbles?
That was a rogue assistant employee just deflating those balls by himself. We know that.
Gotcha.
Let's listen to another voicemail.
This is Medicinal Sam from Portland, Oregon. I got a question for you. Soft move or boss move? A Prius with rims. All right, thanks, guys. Keep giving the people what they want.
Medicinal Sam wants to know, Prius with rims, soft move or boss move?
Your car, your rims, boss move.
Boss move! I love it. I love it.
I've seen this take a graduation in my life from my first car having a Dodge Omni that my mother gave me when she upgraded her vehicle. They had the component speaker in the back, had to let down the back seat so you could actually hear the music.
Nice.
And then I had the green Dodge Shadow that was infamously shown in the Fab 5 documentary when they act like we were getting 6 and 7 figures, and that's what I was driving with an air freshener Crown in the back. And then I won a dice game, rest in peace, Chris Wilson, Porterfield Wilson's son, and before you know, I got a couple of G's. Had to wake up my mother at 5 in the morning so she could take me to the car dealership at 9, so I could put down a down payment to a gold 20th edition of Honda Accord that Jimmy, Ray, and I took to Freak Nick, and that had bad rims on it.
We got one more voicemail to listen to.
What up, though? Jalen, what's up, baby? It's that boy Paul Wall, baby. Hey, man, I just want to say I'm a real big fan of the show. I watch y'all all the time. Happy birthday, Jalen. Got that bagel bag waiting on you, baby. You know what I'm talking about, Jacoby. Hey, it's that boy Paul Wall, man. Just want to tell you happy birthday, man. Got a birthday grills for you, baby. Birthday grill.
Jalen, you going to take up Paul Wall's offer of getting a birthday grill?
And we talk about giving the people what they want. He's the people's champ.
He is the people's champ.
And I appreciate the support of the program so much so that he started it with What Up, Doe. I like that he offered a grill. I like that he offered the
I know you spent a lot of money on those teeth. If you put a grill on top of that, you'll have the most expensive mouth in the history of our species. I think I might need a grill just to get rid of the yellow. You know what I mean? I'm going to tell people I don't have yellow teeth. I'm just wearing a grill. I want to thank Paul Wall. Thanks so much, everybody, for listening to this podcast. We'll always give you some exclusive content. We had some technical difficulties today, which allowed us to give you a little extra exclusive content.
You may or may not feel this way as a listener or my esteemed co-host, but I feel like, personally, this is my favorite pod in a really long time.
Really? What? Really? Huh.
You know how in the cartoons there's a fire-breathing dragon and you just see the flames shooting out of their mouth?
Yeah.
That's how I felt today.
Good, man. I'm glad. I felt like today was definitely one of our top 200, 300 pods that we've ever done. And you know what I love about this show? Whether it's a great pod or whether it's one of our mediocre days, we do another one tomorrow.
We give the people what they need. We give the